Okay, so hello. I'm just like almost trembling about this gate. I'd clocked a while ago that it was conjunct Pluto, and now we're in it, and I've been really feeling the intensity of this gate. So I'm interested how you're feeling it because it's exactly square my Venus, this one, and Pluto's been there for a while and opposing my partner's sun. So we're in this quite like pressure to transform energy, but that's been going on really since we've been together a few years. But this gate seemed to have brought up a really intense week. So yeah, and it's interesting to see like lots of people are talking about Pluto and what's happening with Pluto entering Aquarius. So we're going to take a look at the chart, and Ceres, the mother goddess, is part of the story too. Um, and we'll look at it in terms of the gene key 60 as well, which is a really interesting gene key. And then I'm sort of looking a bit ahead because you've probably heard from a gene keys point of view that Pluto is going to move into the 41st gene key, the start codon. So that's going to be kind of really interesting to see what will happen as the planet of life, death, rebirth hits the start codon. God only knows, right? Could anything
That's
happen?
my life's work in the gene key, 41, third line.
Oh, okay. So you're going to have Pluto transiting your sun then soon. Yeah, big changes. Okay, well,
Plus, he's starting the Star Pearl on my birthday, January 24th, and he changed it from another day because he saw the 24th was an auspicious Midas touch or something. And
oh, okay.
he
That's
asked at the
interesting.
conference in London, is anyone's birthday that day? And I was like, oh, God. He goes, great. Everything you touch will turn to gold or dust.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just felt moved actually to say something about Pluto because I've got this Pluto transit, and it's always a bit like, what's going to happen because Pluto is really intense. But some positive sides of Pluto is firstly, Pluto, we know now, opens the door to all the trans-Neptunian objects, which are these higher frequency indigenous wisdom streams that are flowing into the world. So Pluto effectively opens the door. So it's almost through this life, death, rebirth that we become, I guess, open enough to receive that indigenous wisdom stream. Because it's really quite countercultural to what maybe not so much certain countries, but certainly Britain and America have a certain mindset, and it's it's really excluded indigenous ways of thinking. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. And the other thing is Pluto is actually means wealth bringer. And so effectively, I think if you can work a Pluto transit and really face the shadow material that comes up and open up to it, potentially Pluto can actually be a very bounteous planet. So let's hold that as our intention as we go through this gate. We want indigenous streams of wisdom and we want wealth bringing possibilities. And those two things are quite interesting because indigenous peoples see wealth quite differently as well. They maybe see it more collectively. They see it as something about flourishing in life rather than necessarily having a certain amount in your bank account. So they have a kind of healthier thing that's definitely reflected in the gene keys, I think, like bounteousness, the word bounteousness and resourcefulness are different ways of viewing wealth and a purely kind of note in your hand. So, okay, so let's jump into the astrology. If you don't take this all in, don't worry about it really. Just take in what you need in the moment.
And we'll have the recording as a replay?
Yeah, I'll send
Okay.
you the recording. It'll be on my YouTube channel. So yeah, okay. So that's the last page. Let's go back to the first page. Okay, so Pluto into Aquarius. This is the Venus moon gate in Gene Key 60, Divine Justice. I had thought it was the 30 originally for some reason, but please ignore that completely. It's in Gene Key 60. And I was really pleased actually because I had a really intense week and my partner the other week, and it turned out that Mars had opposed Pluto, and Mars is going into a retrograde. So Mars is going to be a whole part of the Pluto story as well, really intensifying things. And Mars can be like a real cutter from the past. And that's been a big theme, actually. That I had the sensation of the tide being really far out, like lots of things, lots of people have left my life in the last month or so, and the ones who are left are like really amazing. It's like, wow, what just happened? But I feel like this sort of emptiness waiting for the new, and also being able to find the treasure as the tide goes out. So where I live, when the biggest tide will reach once a year, there's actually an ancient forest under the ocean, and you can only see it at those very long tidal peaks. So it's like, what is the treasure that might be discovered in this period of it's probably, I think Mars will intensify it, but really we're in this now all the time and up until 2027 and beyond, because the old is dissolving and the new is being born. And this is the dance which I think Venus teaches us quite well, because it's all about this journey into the underworld, letting go, being reborn, rising up again, becoming whole. And each time you do it, it goes deeper and deeper. So where we are now is we're coming up, and we've gone through the root gate, the sacral gate, the solar plexus, the heart, and we're now at the throat gate. So the energy is kind of rising up through the body as well. So there may be things coming up around our ability to communicate. And that was the theme actually for this whole cycle, because I don't know if you remember, the first gate was conjunct Mercury retrograde. So it was like, okay, we're going to be learning about communication in this cycle. Okay, so here is the Venus moon gate. So this is an exact conjunction. And if you look up in the sky and you don't have clouds and storms, you may actually see, it usually happens very close to the new moon. So you'll see a crescent moon and you'll see Venus inside of it. It's really amazing when you get to see it physically in the sky. And it's taking place at 27 degrees Capricorn, which is Gene Key 60, line 2, with a gift of realism. It's a strange one, this Gene Key 60. It's actually my partner's evolution, and he's a historian who's really interested in New Age hippie things, but he puts this kind of realism in there, which some people can't stand. And I find it really refreshing, though, and kind of seeing his gene keys. I'm like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. And then you can see that we have Ceres here. So she is the mother goddess. So there's likely to be themes around this gate of nurturing ourselves, taking care of ourselves, taking care of the planet, eating good food, especially as Ceres is in an earth sign, Capricorn. We want to think about our relationship to the earth. And being in a state of realism, or bringing realism into a kind of understanding of our relationship with the planet. And I was talking to one of the Gene Keys people about when Pluto hits the 41st and the shadow of fantasy, we're going to be confronted with more and more reality. And some people really aren't having it. There's nothing wrong. And the earth is sort of taking care of herself, but we can really make a difference if we chose to. So Ceres there is interesting, could bring up kind of ecological debates. And then we've got Pluto, who, as we know, has just moved into Aquarius in November. We'll look at Pluto a bit more. So a few other interesting things going on is we have the Sun conjunct Mercury in Sagittarius, and Mercury is retrograde again. So we've got that theme going on with this gate. It's the throat gate, and we've got Mercury retrograde. So what are we wanting to communicate? What is coming from deep inside us that wants to find its way into the world? I read something the other day. I think it was in the I Ching, and it said, you know, will you let your song be sung in the world? And I was like, that's so perfect for, I was just like thinking all these things, and this perfect sentence arose about singing your song into the world. Yeah, and I'm actually doing an event tomorrow evening, which I've called Dreaming Songs. So I'm actually literally going out into the world doing this. I'm like, oh, my timing's brilliant. So I'm still nervous, but my timing's brilliant anyway. Okay, so here's Mars. So Mars has moved up to 6 degrees Leo, which is Gene Key 31. So what's going to happen is Mars will turn retrograde, come back through Leo, and come into opposition exactly with Pluto. So I've got some dates for that on the next slide. Another transit that's been going on for quite a number of months is Chiron conjunct Hygeia. And this is really good for healing. You know, Hygeia and Chiron are both healing bodies. And so, yeah, this is a really good time for healing deep wounds. Okay, so final thing to point out is you'll notice that we're talking about Pluto today, but on the horizon around, I think it's April next year, we're also going to have Neptune move into Aries. So we've got these two big planetary ingresses into new signs, like relatively close together within kind of 5 months or so. Okay, so this is what's going to happen on the 1st of January, New Year's Day. Boom. this is when the exact opposition of Pluto and Mars will take place. And you can see on that particular day that the moon and Ceres will be conjunct Pluto. So there's quite a lot interesting in terms of goddess energies on the 1st of January. We've got so Pluto is going to be, the transformation is going to be themes around the mother, like the moon and Ceres both represent the mother, attachment, our relationship to food, our relationship to our body, to the planet. So this is again what's going to be kind of churned up. The other goddess thing going on is we've got the sun conjunct Pallas Athena. That's also, well, that's in Capricorn there, gene key 38. And then we've got a conjunction. This is another long-term conjunction of asteroids that Juno has been traveling with Estrella. So this is bringing in a more subtle, multi-dimensional energy into our relationships. And you have to kind of be tuned into it. You know, if you are on this journey of awakening, then you and your partner or other people around you in your own being are becoming more aware of this alchemy and the subtlety of yin and yang. It's not really to do with, because it sort of has to happen inside ourselves first before you start to see it, I think, in your relationship. So don't worry if you haven't got a partner, because there's plenty to get on with. You know? And then when you do meet someone, and you may not even, because it may be that you're doing inner alchemy in this lifetime, but then when you meet someone, there's this potential for the opening up of something different to happen to your past kind of karmic patterns. Okay, so jumping ahead then to the 1st of February, so this will be in bulk. We have a nodal shift. So the nodes are moving backwards. So the nodal shift goes from Aries to Pisces. It's a bit weird, a bit counterintuitive, but this will be another important date. You can see on this date, we have the North Node, we have the Moon again, we have Venus, and we have Neptune all together in the 25th gene key. So when this Neptune happens, this ingress into, well, already the 25th gene key is going to be massively activated. And then when Neptune finally moves into Aries, that's going to be another gate opening. In the same way that Pluto's pushing open the door of the 41, and Neptune's pushing open the door of the 25. So we have this emanation of universal love. I mean, we really need it, don't we? So please bring it on, shower us with it. Okay, so these are dates for the diary. The actual Venus Moon gate I've been talking about is happening on Wednesday. So do your ritual, your creativity as close to that date as you can. And then our sharing will be Saturday, the 14th of December. So that's all 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 midday Eastern time, and 5 p.m. UTC here in Britain. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that. I'm going to just stop the recording now. So yeah, just share anything going on that's happening for you with these keys, and have you been feeling the intensity as we approach? So I'll just stop the recording first.